The long-standing conflict between the United States and Iran is driven by the necessity of protecting a single currency. The US dollar functions as the operating system for global power. By forcing the world to use this currency for every oil transaction, the United States maintains unparalleled economic leverage. This specific financial requirement is the primary cause of almost all modern geopolitical friction in the Middle East. In the early 1970s, the U.S. government could no longer back the dollar with gold. To prevent the currency from collapsing, they needed a new, universal commodity to support its value. In 1974, the U.S. signed a secret agreement with the Saudi royal family. Washington provided absolute military security and protection for the monarchy. In exchange, Saudi Arabia agreed to sell all of its oil exclusively in U.S. dollars. This created the petrodollar recycling loop. Foreign nations bought dollars to get oil. Saudi Arabia invested those dollars back into U.S. Treasury bonds, and the U.S. used that capital to fund the military that protected the oil supply. The United States views any disruption to this specific cycle as a threat to its national survival. Middle Eastern leaders who try to settle oil trades in euros or gold face immediate, lethal consequences. Saddam Hussein attempted to switch Iraqi oil sales to the euro in 2000. 3 years later, a U.S.-led invasion removed him from power. Muammar Gaddafi proposed a gold-backed African currency to replace the dollar for oil trades. He was killed shortly after the plan gained regional traction. Iran observed these regime changes and determined that survival required a way to negate the threat of U.S. military intervention. Before 1979, Iran was a reliable U.S. ally under the Shah, with its oil policies closely aligned with Western interests. The 1979 revolution broke this relationship. By seizing control of its own oil, Iran removed itself from the U.S.-managed petrodollar system. After the U.S. labeled Iran part of the axis of evil and established bases in neighboring Iraq and Afghanistan, the Iranian leadership saw themselves as the next target for regime change. They noted that while Iraq and Libya were toppled, North Korea, which possessed nuclear weapons, was not. This suggested that a nuclear deterrent was the only certain way to prevent a similar invasion. Iran responded to this existential threat by moving its entire nuclear enrichment program deep underground, into heavily hidden, fortified subterranean facilities. This satellite view shows the desert complex at Fordo. By building deep inside mountains, Iran made its nuclear infrastructure resistant to conventional aerial bombardment. A nuclear-armed Iran makes the prospect of a U.S. ground invasion too costly to attempt. This protection allows them to trade oil in any currency they choose. With a ground invasion off the table, the U.S. and Israel deployed a digital alternative to halt Iran's progress. They utilized the Stuxnet virus. This code infiltrated the Iranian systems and forced the enrichment centrifuges to spin until the mechanical hardware shattered. This was accompanied by the targeted assassination of several top Iranian nuclear scientists. These methods delayed the program, but did not stop it. Iran rebuilt, moving closer to the threshold of a functional weapon. Iran also holds a geographic lever that can cripple the global economy without the use of nuclear technology. This map highlights the Strait of Hormuz. It is a 33-kilometer-wide bottleneck through which 20% of the world's oil must pass. If this single point is blocked, the world's energy supply is effectively frozen. Iran uses cheap, mass-produced drones to threaten tankers. Even a single strike causes global insurance rates to spike, which forces trade to a standstill. This creates a paradox for the United States. The military bases built to protect the oil supply have become static targets for Iranian retaliation. The United States maintains the world's most powerful military, yet Iran holds the switch to the world's energy supply. In a system where oil dictates the value of money, who really controls the Middle East? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives.